And it's crazy because like our family still lives right there. Like the people we've seen growing up, they're the older people, like their parents and mom and dad, they're still right there. That whole neighborhood.
Okay.
So it's more or less like a family community type of thing instead of like, oh, that's my friend. He moved away. I never seen him again. Like we run into each other. Oh, hey, bro, what's up, man? At the gas station. Okay, cool. We'll just conversate. And like his sister lives 3 houses down from him, and his sister owns that house where their parents live in the same house he grew up in. My grandpa lives in the same house.
Like a little community.
Yeah.
Like, or like a little.
So it's all right there, and you know what I mean. It's a small community, but yet it's protected because there's the older generation is there that we've seen, and then us younger ones we feel like we need to be. Oh, hey, you need help with the lawn. Oh, I'll shovel your snow. Just stuff like that, and people wouldn't really expect it from us. Like I go down the street to my grandpa's house and rake his leaves and cover and like put them in the bags and get rid of them. If it's snowing, I'm like, oh man, he's probably not gonna be able to walk outside. I'll shovel mine, or shovel his before I shovel mine. You know what I mean? And it's just because he's down the street. I know nobody else is gonna do it for him.
Yeah, non-stop. Like that's how we grew up. Like as kids, like right, like we would like try to hustle, like make money, and like try to like do different things and like help people out. These kids, they don't want to help nobody out. Try to gather CEOs. No. Yeah, but no. So what would you say is like a misconception of Ogden? Like, cause we kind of did a bad route there, right?
Yeah.
So like, what would you say is like one of the biggest misconceptions or like things that you hear about Ogden that just pisses you off?
Everybody says it's ghetto, and in realistic, like it's not ghetto. If you was to go to other states,
Right.
Detroit, like it's
Real
just
ghetto.
fun, like yeah. So down here, like people move from Cali. Like literally, look at how many different kind of people live here now and are moving here. Everybody's moving. I bet people from New York, Michigan, Hawaii, just all over the place. And I'm like, why here? Why here? Because we're so universal. We got work here, and then the people aren't like rude. We're welcoming. Yeah, the majority of the people are welcoming. You don't gotta like hide your purse or hide your stuff, lock your car. That's what the misconception is. All these people, just because the way they look, you can see a tattooed guy looking like a cholo, and he'll hold the door open for you. Oh, thank you. And then walk in. You're welcome. I mean, we have manners. We have respect. We were grown with all those things to know how to carry yourself, because as a minority, you're already going to know if you don't have those, you're going to be looked at wrong.
Because they already have that perception that you're not going to do that stuff.
Yeah.
That perception of, oh, they're rude, or, oh, they're, you know.
And they're surprised when they say that we're not, and we're opening the door for you. Or I'll just be in the store and a little kid will walk up to me, hey, buddy. And I'm like, oh, what's up, little dude? You know what I mean? And then their parents, like, a kid will be like, oh, can I sit on your lap? I'm like, what the? We're waiting at the doctor's waiting at the doctor's office, and the parents like, oh, if it's fine with you. I'm like, oh, let me tell my grandpa there. I'm on the watch. Well, it's not wrong, but it's just still, but it's cool to know that like that person is okay with me being around their child. You know what I mean? They don't feel like it's a threat, and I that makes me feel good, because then I know I'm doing something right. I'm carrying myself right, and I got a vibe where I don't even need to say nothing, and a kid will come to me because they're innocent.
Yeah.
They don't judge. They don't think about it like that. Like the only thing that the reason why people think like that is because it's taught.
That's true.
Or somebody else said it, so they're like, what? It's ghetto. Okay, then it's ghetto. And they never bother to go over there and go look. Like, we have, like, the markets on 25th Street. We have so much history. Like, I don't even know if anybody really knows the history of it, because back then when they started the trains and stuff, we was the Las Vegas of our country. You know what I mean? They would stop on the trains, and, like, they were only going to be here for an hour until the next train came, and there really is so much history into our small little city called Ogden. And a lot of the people even from Ogden haven't even looked into our history. And history is where you actually learn who you are and where you're going.
Yeah. I think that's gotten lost, right? Like,
Yeah, it was really
I think that people, because like we had, like there was like a lot of gang activity for like a little while, and then and that didn't help matters either. And I feel like people associated Ogden with like those kind of people, right? And like I think I've always said this, I'm like, Ogden can be like a really bad place for a person to live. Like it could be a really toxic place, but it can also, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a matter of like your decisions and like your environment, who you put yourself around. Because I think that's like with every city, right? Like every city has its maybe not so great area, and that's like Ogden too. So yeah, when people say that to you, like Ogden's ghetto, or like you guys ain't got shit down there, like it's boring down there,
Or you can live in Ogden.
yeah,
It's cheap. Like,
oh, really not cheap anymore.
Right, not.
It's really not cheap. But yeah, I've always like taken that personal, and people like say that about Ogden, and then just like I lived here my whole life, and I've had good experiences here.
Me too. I've had good and bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, I got a week back too, just this freaking week. At 2 7-Elevens, okay?
Not 2 7-Eleven.
No, it's just okay. So y'all already seen the TikTok. So we don't have to get into that. If you want to see the full video, like, I haven't made any content about the second encounter. So yesterday, y'all can go to my TikTok and watch that at Charday, Jae 88 on TikTok. But anyway, so the second encounter at 7-Eleven, I was in line yesterday at the 7-Eleven on 20th on Harrison.
Okay.
And so this is a bad experience in Ogden. And there was a lady cashier and there was a male cashier. So I went to the lady cashier to get my drinks, and then I was like, oh shit, I had to come back in to get ice. Well, I came back in to get ice. I came and went back to her register, and I was waiting, and like at this point, like someone was popping. There's like hella people in there, right? And so the cashier proceeds to say, what do you call a black man on the moon? Whoa. And I said, so we're not gonna fucking out. I said, we're not doing that. She's like, but wait, she's like, I was like, no, we're not doing that. And the guy was like, then tell him that. And like, so the whole like 7-Eleven just like gets quiet, like, and they're just shaking their heads. And
Oh my god.
and like, I just over here shaking, period.
Well,
and she was white. And then, like I said, we ain't doing that. And like, I don't know. She maybe waited a minute, and then she was like, an astronaut. And he was like, what? He's like, I'm so sorry. Like, so basically he was saying, it's just another matter. Yeah, and I was like, really? So anyway, so the guy turns around behind me. He's like, I am so sorry that I told him not to say that. It was so rude. So this other white guy on the other side of me, he shutting down his stuff. He's like, I need to speak to corporate. How do I speak to corporate?
So,
Like,
sorry,
like,
like,
how to preach.
I'm so mad. And just that's a little way of racism.
Right.
Because you're fucking trying to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take, you can't take it any further than I can take it, so let me take it further for you.
Right. And he didn't acknowledge me. He
I'm gonna save you. I'm doing this right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna acknowledge.
He didn't say anything to me. He didn't acknowledge me, nothing. He's like, I need to speak. Well, how do I speak with corporate? And the guy was like, yeah, I'm the acting manager. Like, I can talk to over here. He's like, I'm not going to talk to you. He's like, this is ridiculous. He's like, I'm calling for it. And then he like snatched his stuff up and like, he stormed out. And then I'm like, shit.
And just a roundabout way for him to get free.
That motherfucker's mad. Like, it didn't even happen to him.
Right.
And then like the other the cashier the cashier guy that like leans over and says something to the lady. So she runs off crying. And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
All my people are so mad.
Yeah, everybody's so outraged. And I was like, if this thing, blah, 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 like white privilege as spineless, right? I was like dumbfounded. Like, I can't even make this stuff up. I can't even put it on. Because people are going to think that I'm just like making up stories at this point. So I called my brother and he was like, yo, and he just thought, what, 7-Eleven? Yeah. And he was like, was that? I'm having 2 stores, but proud of it. And we saw it in the bottom. So everything else closed. Every other store closed at 11.
Going Maverick. Man, 7-Eleven. Those are your choices.
Right. Look, we're on to Maverick from now on. And I'm calling on Monday. I'm calling corporate myself because I'm like, man, I need to do that. You know, that for all the show. But anyway, I want to talk shit on 7-Eleven. Fuck 7-Eleven on 20th and fuck 7-Eleven on 36. Jesus
Both
Christ.
those places.
Yeah, both those places. I didn't even a bunch of
When I go to a 7-Eleven,
yeah.
and it's like an Indian dude behind the counter. They come,
Oh, no.
I'm always like, oh, what dress your name, my bro?
Not till I go. I don't go to that one.
Like, brother, what else do you need? You just go get yourself another monster, the 50 cent.
Oh, yeah.
Where?
All the time. When I go into 7-Eleven.
Which one?
The one I usually go to is right on 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right before he gets to the freeway.
Oh, yeah. And then they make problems. Everybody thinks that from
Everybody thinks I'm Indian. Because he always hits me up with the deal. He's like, that's all you need, brother. I think I'll sell for another soda. I'll give it to you for 25 cents.
I don't know if they didn't get us canceled.
I use I'm a good fashion out to I know what you're talking about. This time I went over there, I had all of them. I'm like, hey, can you give me those 2 pizzas and the wings? Yeah, they got nothing to do all night. And I just dropped those pizzas for $5.
Yeah.
And I mean, the wings,
And they're good.
we had to do it too. I got like an item and everything. But still even calling it. Yeah, because I be at work.
They'll treat it for you.
They'll pay you or they'll cook it for you. Then I just get there, I just pick it up and I go back to work. I'm like, yo, bro, here's your guys' pizza. I got mine.
Yeah.
No, on it.
Yeah. Shit for you.
It's depends on which location you go to. That's probably where it is, Charlotte.
Well, don't go to 36th and 20th because you will be accosted in so many ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I think Ogden gets a bad rap, and I just love like hearing like the positive things, and that's another thing too. Like I feel like, yeah, there's like crime in Ogden, and like there's crime everywhere though.
Yeah.
But I think that Ogden has like a really good sense of like community, and they do have a sense of diversity, and I think that the city is, trying to do a good job about putting that out there more. So just like last weekend, I can't say it.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like doing things like that are honoring different cultures. A lot of other cities that do things like that.
Yeah.
We have like, we have Juneteenth. We have things for our indigenous folks. We have showcases. Showcases.
The Lion King thing too.
Yeah. So we do have things that are more inclusive than I think other cities or surrounding cities. And when I hear positive things, like that's what people that come here like here actually appreciate. And people, like you said, who are coming here that are transplants from other cities, and we tell them that, we're like, yeah, this ain't like, this is not.
Right.
This is not.
This is not. This is like our suburb. I'm over here and they're like, it's only this much here. This is a suburb. We're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
You know, like we see it.
right. But what have you seen like some are like just like experiences, like bad experiences here? Like what would make Ogden like maybe a not so desirable place?
Well, like I don't know if a lot of people are aware of like how Utah goes and buys the homeless.
Oh,
So they're like, why is there so many homeless on the street? Why is Ogden have so much home? They literally went to Montana, New York, Seattle, Washington, and I know Montana for sure because I was in Montana during the time when they literally went over there and fought a busload of the people, and they didn't get the older people. They got like the healthier, young-looking ones that probably looked like they were addicted to something and they're on the streets. They grab them. They grab them. They go and research it. And you guys, it's a lot. A lot of people don't know that, but so they bring them here to Utah, and they use that money and they built that shelter by the mall. I don't know why they chose that location, but they put it by the mall and they built that whole shelter. But they got it because they bought those people from them. So it's majority of it's like right up, but they're healthy in a way because they're getting these people who are able to work, and we need workers here. Everywhere is hiring all the time. Like so many places are hiring where you're like, do I want 3 jobs? Do I want 2 jobs? You know what I mean? It's actually an option here. So for these people to just get out here, and there's like people that they'll even have you have a babysitter. They're like, hey, we will pay for a babysitter for your kids, and you guys can work here, and they get off of work, get your kids. So that's how much they need the workers. So they're helping a lot of the people. So if you see they're building so many places, yeah, they're building them, but they also have the homeless. They're working. They're driving their bikes. They're taking their buses. They're walking to work. They're doing all that, and they're not even from here. They're getting a whole brand new second chance in Ogden.
that's crazy.
How wild is that? Do you know what I mean? So other people from Ogden, they're like, wow, man, there's all this. And yeah, there is the bad where there's these people that are from here and they are addicts. They choose to be on the street. They choose to not change. But yet you also got these transplants from New York. Like I met a guy, he was working with me at the cookie house. And he's like, yeah, I get off here and then I'm going to go ride my bike and go to the dog food plant and go to work over there. Because he's just trying to pay to get his license. He has to pay $3,000 to get his license. Yeah, and he's never had a license. He's from New York. And I mean, I get that. So he has to do all these different things. And so it kind of gives you a misconception on like, oh man, these guys are just poor on the streets. It's like, bro, they're not from here. They got taken from where they lived and brought over here. They were on the streets in California, in Vegas, in Montana, all these places.
Let's just clear up. They weren't taken against their will.
I have no idea. They were bought. They weren't bought though. They were bought. So like they went one government box to another government. Like yeah, and nobody really sees it. And nobody really.
That's crazy.
Because
I have mixed feelings on it.
they know how to busy on it. They keep you busy on it because they're like, okay, we need workers, and we're gonna provide housing. So we're gonna go get these people over here. And these people are happy. They're not complaining about it because now they don't got their homeless on their streets. They're on our streets. But give it a couple months and they won't be homeless very long.
Right, especially the working like that.
Yeah,
That's pretty.
that's why they have such open arms to people to come here to Utah.
And that little
smaller cost of living.
that facility or whatever is pretty nice.
Yeah,
I think it's built. Oh, and it's on. Yeah, so our homeless shelter here on what is it, 30s, it's like in below wall. Yeah, so that's the Lantern House. That's our main facility for our unhoused individuals, and they do have programs they have caseworkers there to help it get on their feet. They have programs for families, programs for like single moms, things like that. I know that it's really hard for some of our unhoused people to stay there just because some of the rules are a little bit strict and they don't have room sometimes, right? For everybody to be there. So I would just hope that I don't know if it's the city taking these people, I can't even confirm nor deny if this is happening. Like, I don't know, but
Wow.
yeah, like, I don't know that nice, like, I don't know, they didn't know, yeah.
Yeah, I learned that when I went up to visit my cousin Crystal, and they live on a military base, and they had a huge heroin pandemic. Wow. And people were ODing left and right, and you're like, what? It's such a beautiful city. They're like, why are people doing stuff like this? And so they were getting the people to save them. So these people were willingly line up like, hey, which one of you guys want to just have a new start and go to Utah? And they're like, yo, me. Let me get out of here. And they had family members telling other people and other family members, hey, you guys should go and get up on this opportunity and go to Utah and get a whole new fresh start. Little do they know they have their drug problems here too, the prescription drugs and then the meth and would it be heroin? Everywhere has it. Right. It's put here for reasons. In poverty state, you know what I mean, certain spots for a reason, but it's all a choice. Yeah. So what's crazy is like these people were really like, hey, yeah, I want to go. I can't wait till that next Greyhound bus comes to get the next bag. And I'm like, wait, what? And my cousin's tattoo shop is above from a bar. So when I got done getting a tattoo, I went downstairs and I'm just chopping it up with the local folks and I'm hearing this stuff. And the bartender's a barber, a vet, and a bartender. You know, all in one. And not on the bars in like the small town bars is where you really learn what their cities are about, because you can hear about our cities at our small bars too. Yeah, our history, what they're the pros and the cons, but what I didn't know was that, and I was like, wait, what? And then they start talking about it, and the guy was like, yeah, man, I'm waiting for the next chance to get on that bus. And I was like, are you serious? And when I came back down, I was like, no way, that's true. And then it started happening. These buses would pull up at the bus station on, like, right there, you know where we have right there where the tracks are? Mm-hmm. They would pull up, and,
I feel like we're going to have to do some research on that. No, I'm just saying, like, I need to know more.
My research, I was like, oh my God. Yeah, I found out it was more than Montana.
Yeah, I have homework to do.
I think that's cool. A
About
lot of these people do just need a second chance.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you fail where you're at, it's hard because you're carrying not only whatever addictions or whatever you have, but you're also carrying the weight of the disappointment.
And for happiness.
Yeah, you know, the means to get yourself out of that. Yeah. So when you go somewhere where you don't know somebody, so if you don't know a lot of people, you may have less of a chance to go back to your old routines. So that forces you, gets you out of your comfort zone to grow and do something different. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool, like that's happening.
Yeah.
You know? And that's what a lot
I was paying dollars for this. And I got a line item that I missed on my tax. Yeah, anyway, I'm finishing this now. I didn't know what no, I mean, I thought about should bring it over or supporting our unhoused individuals. I just ignore this. Right? I'm John here.
No.
But do you see how they're building so much out here?
No, for sure.
They're building a lot.
And that's just across the board and everywhere. Yeah. And not a lot of them are affordable places. So that place right there on Washington on 36, on 30th, that elderly, the complex that they just built right on Washington, that's all in the Chevron. So that's for senior living. Yeah, so that's for, which is awesome. Like, our seniors need place to live too. But a lot of these places, like the Hilltop, I think they're called like the Hilltop apartments that are by the golf course out in South Ogden. But we were like $1,900.
Yeah, this feels a frown.
And so, yeah, and then it's like, how do people afford that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, there is a housing crisis. Like, there's no two ways about it. So again, if there are programs like that to help replace the unhoused, that's great. But we also have to like just figure out like what we're doing with the housing and the housing crisis that's going on. The shortage of housing, it's too much. It's not affordable. Like you said, there is a job everywhere that you can get. And so I think people just like need to do their research before they come here, because also they're coming here and realizing, oh, maybe it's not as affordable as like I thought, because they're coming here.
On the drug problems, meeting other people that have drug problems, and then they find where it's at, because you got that local person that don't give a shit about change, you know, don't mind being an addict and being on the streets in a way. So then they, in some kind of sad way, they still taint them, and instead of having them change, then it's just more in them around. Because like there's parks, and I don't know why they get together at parks, but there's parts where you'll see a massive amount of like the homeless, and they're doing drugs and the addicts. But the cities, the people that live around them, they have to go like, and there was a park by my neighborhood, and we all had to get together and say, hey, look, we need a patrol unit coming around here in this area, because there's elderly here in this area. There's a lot of elderly, and they don't have they don't have the video cameras. They don't have like,
we had to like do a petition.
Yeah, so we all had to go around and sign a petition, so that way they had to move from there, and they have like one of those little lights with the blue.
Oh yeah, the cop little.
Yeah. So that's the thing that again, like a lot of community members don't know, like in their neighborhoods, that we have a lot of power and we have a lot of say so on what happens in our neighborhoods. It's just a matter of unifying and getting together and saying, hey,
all about
it's about unifying and saying that we don't want the same thing. We want our kids to be safe going to the parks. I know one thing that I did for a summer was the Utah Needle Exchange with Utah Harm Reduction. So on the weekends, we went out and we exchanged needles with our community that's suffering with substance abuse. So it was every weekend. So we went out, there was 3 of us. They had clean needles. Like if you give us I think it was like 10 dirties, like we'll give you some clean needles. And then you can also get a hepatitis test there. And then if we had the means, like we'll give you you could do like I don't want to say it was a rapid HIV test, but we have our Utah AIDS Coalition here in Ogden too, and where we can send people to get tested for AIDS. And so that was a big deal for me, and that was kind of controversial because everybody didn't think that was like the right thing to do, was to go out and provide people with new needles to just like continue to use. But it was a way to keep the needles off of the streets, out of our sandboxes, out of the parks. It was keeping our kids safe. So, and the people started to recognize it and say like, oh yeah, those are those people who are they're here to help. So they started actually like storing their dirty needles. And so they weren't like just disposing of them, discarding of them anywhere.
That's good. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
I wanted them to do stuff like that.
Yeah. So like we do have that here. And that was kind of like when Biden was kind of doing that like crack pipe thing. And people were, remember? Did you hear about that? So Biden like passed. No, the hunter fighters, the hunter. So Biden was trying to pass like legislation that was similar for like crack pipes, and so people can come and like get basically drug paraphernalia. But a lot of people didn't understand what it was. It's called harm reduction for a reason. Like, yeah, I guess in a way, like you don't want to like supply someone with the means to continue to use. But if you know anything about addiction, people are going to use it fine. Yeah. So why not make it safe for them? Why not? And it also is reducing like disease, right? So a lot of intravenous drug users suffer from like hepatitis, AIDS, things like that, because they're sharing needles and things like that. So they're
spread throughout the population. Because sometimes a lot of people, men and women, will pay for their drugs with sex. And they could be paying with sex, have some clothes. Yeah, they don't disclose it, they don't know it. Give it to the person. That person's sleeping with somebody who's not a drug user, passes it on to them, pass it on. So, it's really important to keep people clean, clean of disease if they're going to be choosing that lifestyle.
Yeah. So it was a big initiative also, with the health department, because like the health department, you have to record all those kinds of things. And there was a significant decrease in disease and people reporting finding dirty needles in the parks and things like that. So I think that one thing I think that Ogden and people don't really realize is like Utah as a whole might not be like super up to date and progressive with the things that they're doing as a state. On the state level, but Ogden City, I do feel like they're a lot more progressive than again surrounding cities. And some of even like your bigger cities across the United States, like community policing, that a lot of different states want to implement that. Ogden's been doing that for a long time,
and other cities are
and starting to do that. So Ogden the OPD has kind of been a leader in that, like showing like what community policing does, like how good interactions with police. They have a police academy that
like go trick or treats or shop with the cop.
Yeah, shop with the cop, or they have a coffee with the cop, or they starting to do the community dinner nights and things like that. So Ogden is really trying to be progressive in that and like recognizing issues that we're having and trying to actually do something about it. They're not perfect by any means, but I do think that's one thing that Ogden as a city is really focusing on, is the diversity and like how to help these different pockets of community.
I think the community don't really realize how much of a voice and power they get when they get together. Like if there's a certain neighborhood that is very bad, they don't say anything to anybody. They don't know who to reach out to. They just complain about it, and then nothing gets done. So if they was more aware of, hey, connect with this person, or hey, go write a petition, because like it's easy for them to say, oh, hey, you have like the city will go around, like when summer comes, city will go around and issue tickets or citations to people that are homeowners and say, hey, you have like dirt or wood or something in your property and you need to remove it around, stuff like that. Like, they're like, I'm getting a ticket for too many cars in my driveway. But then some of them don't know how to go about it. Like, oh, hey, well, that mattress that's back there it was a homeless person. They always sleep back there. I didn't know about this. You know what I mean? They don't really know what or who to go to about it, and they can actually make change. And I don't think they're aware of their power of their voice and how they can make the change. They just talk about it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So I know that you're talking to me a little bit about some initiatives that you wanted to take on as a community member here at Ogden to help and give back to others. Like, do you want to talk a little bit about like where the thought process, what it is, like what you want to do, and like how it came about for you to like think about it?
I just feel like how they have like so much help and guidance for like the guys who just got out of prison, or like at APP, the probation office, stuff like that. Like majority of the people that are housed in like the prisons or the jail are men. So you got to think about the women out there are trying to survive or take care of whatever means they have to raise their kids. A lot of them don't get that male figure or don't know where or how to be guided from those kind of places. So like you have like Youth Impact. We have just like 2 small little places where the kids can go to. Like some schools now are getting after school programs for their kids, so where they get the help. But I feel like the preventing the like prison inmates and all that stuff starts with the younger generation, the kids. From like whether they be like
about like keeping them out of prison.
Yeah, from just because they have like whatever anger or missing that person or wanting their dad, and their dad is in there, or their dad keeps going out and going back in. The dad gets out for three days or 3 months, and then he goes back in, or you know what I mean. And they don't really know or understand why. They just got this feeling inside of them, like, why is it me, or why did you choose drugs over us? I've met a couple different kids where they're like, my dad don't like me. Like, I'd just be at the park with my own kid, and the kid would just come up and talk to me. I'm like, oh, go ahead, go play with my son. They're like, he's so nice. I'm like, yeah, he's taught to be nice. You know what I mean? He's a very big heart. So when other kids are like, well, who are you, his dad? I'm like, well, I'm his dad and I'm his mom, you know? And they're like, well, I don't have a dad. And they just start talking, and I'm like, wow, like, what makes it so this kid, this stranger, just wants to talk about it? And that makes me think, how many of these other kids, there's 15 kids at the park, how many of them do you think have these kind of feelings pent up that they don't have a way to communicate it with their own parent? Their parent's busy working, going to school at the same time working, they're at the babysitter. So then they have that disconnect with that other second parent that's supposed to be there. So it just makes me think, like, how many of these kids are misguided, and how can we prevent this next younger generation from going that route? Because if they're angry and they're upset, it takes more other kids. You hit your, like, teen years, 13, 14, and they're all angry and upset together. How do you know they're not bullying these other kids? There's kids that could be 8 years old, 10 years old, bullying these other kids because they're not getting that love and communication and treatment from both their parents, or they get a talk on their phone to their dad for a little bit of time, and then after the phone call ends, well, wait, I was just talking to you. You only get that 15 minutes. You can't put everything you feel in 15 minutes, especially if you have siblings. You got to pass the phone. Yeah, you got to pass the phone around, and you're like, hey man, there was some stuff I wanted to say.
Yeah.
So what are you like? So what's your ideas, or like what have you been brainstorming to kind of combat that and make that better? Like what are some things that you feel like are going to help that, and like how do you want to help?
Honestly, I don't even really know how to, like, to get other people's attention and be like, look, shine a light on this. This is our next generation. This is what we're trying to bring. Is like, most of parents just want their kids to just graduate. They lowered the bar. So I would like people to raise the bar. Let the kids know and remind the kids they can be anything they want to be. They can do anything they want to do. Let them have that artistic outlet. Let them learn guitar or the violin. Don't try to guide them in a certain way. Like, no, play football, play sport. That's majority of the time they want to put their kids in sports. Let them learn a trade. Let them learn something. And we in Ogden, we what I noticed when I went to high school in West High School compared to Ogden, we don't have very many options. We don't have very many trades to teach the kids. And in certain schools, the private schools or the academies, those are the ones that have that. But you got to pay for it, or you got to volunteer, or you got to do certain things just to get that help.
Yeah.
So like if there was another center or just a program at that center, like at Youth Impact, to just help those kids that are like missing that other parent, whether they be missing the mother and the father because they're both getting treatment, and one's in treatment, one's in the prison, and they got their grandparents. Look at how many of them are being raised by grandparents where they don't get to connect with them like that.
Yeah, so we were talking about that. There's a whole organization here. It's called Grand Families that helps people here in Ogden who are raising their grandchildren or family members. Because a lot of parents aren't able to right now, so their family members are raising them. So there is an organization called Grand Families that are doing that. So are you thinking like more of like focusing on those kids who have parents that are in the system?
Just missing the parents in general.
Okay, so like an absentee parent, they're like across the board. Maybe giving them that. Are you thinking like maybe we would give them? So you're saying give more opportunity for them
and outlets, like, because kids you can literally. I've done it with like some of my family members, kids where they'll be like, hey, you know, they're going through something right now. Can they come over? Because they see that I let my son have his own creative outlet. So I'm like, yeah, I got tons of paint here. Let the kid come over and paint. So then I let him come over and paint. And then while we're painting, they're talking. So in a way, it's therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so you have these feelings. You feel like you see your parents get together back and forth. You see your mom stressing and working, or you see the kids see. And that's what the parents don't notice. Mm-hmm. they see who they are when they're stressed. They see who they really are when the times get tough. So they learn on that, and they're like, oh man, like, why did my dad keeps doing that? My dad is toxic. Okay, like, how'd you learn that? Like, I don't know, you're 11 years old and you're saying that he's toxic, or you know what I mean? Like, they'd be 14 and talk about my dad don't really love me, and I know that because he's out with his girlfriend and he don't even bother to take care of us, and my mom's trying to get treatment, but I feel alone. I'm like, well, why do you feel alone? I'm right here, you know, you could talk to me, what's going on? And they're still talking and telling me more, and I'm like, wow, like, I get it when you put a kid in front of like a therapist and there's nothing else around you, you know what I mean? But when you put a kid in like a art area or crafty area or somewhere they could like build something.
Yeah. No, I think that's like an awesome idea. Like you said, that there's a few organizations for youth, like Youth Impact, the YMCA, and then there's Boys and Girls Club, things like that. Like, so those are great like places and partnerships like reach out to. Because they also have resources, right? Like, whenever you're trying to like start something up, like you need resources. So I don't know. I would like say like maybe like reach out to them, but also you could totally start something on your own.
Yeah,
it's a little bit like
pop up, the crafts and stuff, and let the kids just come.
It just can shut you in like you're working with kids. Like I'm learning in my job, like there's so much red tape and legalities like when it comes to kids, but I think that's like an awesome thing that you have noticed, like maybe in your time growing up and being a mother, like you said, and just seeing that and just kind of seeing where the deficit and where there is a deficit with our youth here, and seeing that they're getting exposed to a lot more than maybe even we were. And like you said, where did you learn that language? Like, you know what I mean? Like, where did you learn toxic? Like, why are you talking about the other parent like that? But I think sometimes parents forget that their kids are kids, and they pick up on like what you're saying, and they're going to internalize those kind of things. But I think that's an awesome place to start, and it's just helping. And I think we need more people to be able to organize. So, I mean, I can always tell you, like, if you ever need, I don't know how I can help, but whatever I can do to help. Just always let me know, because like I do think that we do.
I was just more was wondering, like, I was like, why are they building another juvenile like correction facility? Like they should try to prevent this. Instead they built another one. So like if
Mostly?
No, it's actually like more towards North Ogden. More towards North Ogden. So basically I'm like, okay, when we were growing up, there was only like 2 facilities, right? So it's like, why are you building more facilities when you should be interested in preventing this? Go in deeper when they're younger and get their attention and show them that they're loved and they could be anything or do anything, instead of just like right off the bat, like, oh, we got to build another center because this one's way overpacked. And it's not just like Hispanics, you know what I mean? It's all races, and they can even have like both parents there, and there's just no outlet for the kid because they're one of 5 or one of 6, and they don't get that attention. They just get like ignored because they got to worry about the baby.
Yeah. And I think being here in Utah too, a lot of people have multiple children. No. Like there's a lot of kids, whether it's religious based or just like and that's
to make their own squad, all squad.
It's not what happens too, right? Like I feel like maybe like our family unit has gotten lost a little bit in the area, and you know, there's people that have.
Yeah, I think it's true.
Yeah,
because like you can think about my great grandparents, right? The Garcia family, they had hella kids, and their kids have a lot of kids, but they stayed together even through all the bullshit that they had to go through back then, like fights, you know, domestic violence, drug abuse, all that stuff. They still stuck together. Where now, it seems like even in our generation, it's quick for you to just cut off.
Yeah,
they're just like, you know what, we're divorced, whatever, I'm going to go start a new family, and then you got these mixed blended families, and then it sends the family unit into chaos. You know what I mean? And I just think that we've kind of gotten away from staying together. Yeah, you know what I mean? And like, especially in Hispanic families, because like just a generation or 2 ago, Hispanic families have some shit they deal with, you know what I mean? Whether it's drug abuse, gangs, whatever. Cheating and beating to some extent sometimes. But they would stick together. Yeah, I mean, like that was, they knew that their relationship was for the betterment of the whole family. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they just stuck together.
Yeah, it's more like unified.
You know what I mean? And so that we've kind of gotten away from that. There used to be a cultural thing, because like in that culture, like Latin culture, family's everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't go against family. You don't
Get together, get together, everybody.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if one of your tios or primos or primas or whatever are fucking hooked on drugs. They're still welcome.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be nodding out the fucking Thanksgiving table, but they're still family.
Yeah,
Turn your back on them. You know what I mean? But that's kind of like, I feel like that's kind of gone by the wayside a little bit.
Yeah.
This generation, where it's like they're just so quick to cut people off, because it's like this whole thing of like, oh, you know, it's about me. It's all me now. It's about me. If you're not making me feel comfortable, whatever, I'm cutting you off. And like, to an extent, you got to keep your peace, but you can still have your peace and help somebody else. You know what I mean? You can still, you know, be that.
I feel
Yeah.
Do you think there's pros and cons though to like that, like, you know, that thinking, like how, because like we hear that a lot like now, right? Like, well, back in the day, like everybody's like stuck together. They didn't give up really easy. Like we worked through our problems. But like you said, cheating, beating, all this like really toxic shit that like people are going through. Like, do you feel like people now are just like learning like that's not healthy? Like, I don't have to like stay and like figure that out. Like, like if you're writing the help and you're doing the work, like maybe. But I think too, like we have to like rethink about like was that good? Like, did we see, like, was what we saw, like, was that, like, the best example of, like, relationships, love, and family that we could have gotten?
That's
like, is that the best, like, example? Because, like, history repeats itself, and, like, you see it, like, and then you're gonna maybe perpetuate it just because, like, you literally didn't learn any different, especially, like, if you don't know, like, the language and have, like, the wherewithal to get, to, like, see a different perspective. So then you're just, like, by doing that, like you're just perpetuating the same cycle over and over. I think in this generation, like we're seeing people be more like what, like we hear a lot of people say, like we're breaking generational curses. And I think that's true. Like gentle parenting, like that's like a thing that people are starting to do, is like not yelling at their kids, not like talking down to their kids. Like they're giving their kids a space to like be themselves, like you said, like giving them creative outlets and like letting them express how they feel and do what they want. And I was talking to a girl the other day, and she's like, yeah, my son paints nails, like I don't think he's gay, it's just like something he wants to do.
It's just not
gonna like
because
so probably like it's not
with he does it with nail polish, because his mom's here, his sister's here, and one night he woke me up and he's like, Dad, did I do this right? And he showed me his nails. And painted your nails. And I know Max, like, if I did that, my dad would probably get my ass. He probably literally whooped my ass. But I was like, no, you didn't do it right. Like, you know, it's too messy. It's all over your fucking finger. I'm not. He's like, yeah. He's like, because I can't remember who did it. Some YouTuber he watches, like, he did this color and I want to do the same color. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, ask your mom, because I don't know how to do that. But you know what I mean? Ask your mom how to do it and stuff. So, I mean, that stuff. Yeah.
That was huge for him to happen. Dad just like, no, son, that is terrible. But like,
I have the wherewithal to think, because like people are conditioned. There's a difference between conditioning and realization, right? So like I had realized he's doing this because of whatever is influencing it. But if a person's conditioned to think if he's doing that, he's automatically, you know, something I don't want him to be, and then they react due to the conditioning. Yeah. So that's where the difference comes in, where, because it wasn't good. Like, you know, a lot of the shit we grew up seeing, the all of the stuff, hearing about, you know, this, you know, your grandpa cheated on your grandma. Exactly. You know, and that wasn't good.
You must see something hide it. We're like, where hide it, right?
And you know, all those family secrets that you cover, it wasn't good. But you can either be conditioned by that. If you're conditioned by it, you're susceptible to repeating it.
And if you're aware of it, and it brings an awareness to you, you could use that so that if future generations have that happen, you can educate them.
Yeah,
okay, look, we dealt with this situation before with so and so. You know, this is what we got to do.
Well, you can be proactive too, right? Yeah. So that like it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and I think the problem with this generation is they try to cut it out. They try to act like it's not there, or they try to remove it. Yeah, it's not. This is in the whole course of human history. This stuff has happened to everybody.
It happens in every family. You're not gonna just cut it out completely. You're now ignoring it, and you're thinking, oh, it's better for me to ignore it and cut it out of my life without thinking about who else it's gonna affect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about having the realization of it to help those other people instead of being conditioned by it. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the difference.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we just have to, like, compartmentalize, like, what's healthy, like, what can we fix, like, what can be healed and mended, and, like, what is really just not good for us. So I feel like even in our generation, not even our parents, like, I think we've all been in, like, maybe a toxic, unhealthy, like, relationship at this point.
Like friend relationships.
Yeah, we're toxic friend relationships that we can't, that weren't good for us, but we stayed in because, like, that was kind of just, like, what we thought was normal. But now we're, like, seeing that, no, it's not normal. Like, I shouldn't be being hit by my partner.
But nobody told you that, though, right? That's the thing, though, because that's what they try to, like, isolate, like how you said, pretend it doesn't exist. So, like, if you were able to, like, right away, hey, look, this is why this is going on. Do you educate them? If then it will stop.
Yeah. And that's part of us, like, having
To figure it out.
like, and it sucks that, like, we have to, like, be the ones to, like, figure it out.
Yeah.
But it's going to help our kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And it, like, I know, like, a lot of people, like, in our age group have a lot of fucked up shit that happened, like, back in the day. And it's just now coming out.
Right.
Into the
surfacing that.
Like, wait, I got a cousin from where?
and not, yeah, or siblings, or you know, maybe, like, something happened, like, someone was molested or touched, or these kind of things are, like, starting to resurface. And I just think our generation is getting better about getting the help that they need so that they can better protect their kids. Because I hear a lot of people who have had that type of thing happen, maybe in our parents' generation. They're so angry because they're just like, you didn't listen, like, as a parent, like, you didn't, like, you couldn't even see it, like, you didn't value me as a person, like, as a kid, like, I was just a kid. Like, back then they looked at kids as, like, something to be seen and not, or, like, and not tell us anything. And now,
what's going on? They'll never tell us.
Yeah, because, like, that's how they were treated. Like, they weren't treated. I don't think you should treat kids as equals to an extent. Yeah. But, like, we do need to give them a voice. So that they're not afraid to use their voices. Because I feel like back in the day, our parents kind of made us afraid and to use our voices. And then their parents, it was, like, even worse. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, with every generation, I just think it's getting a little bit better. And so, yeah, I think that's awesome that you did not put a label on your son because he wanted to paint his nails.
Yeah, because I just, a lot of times, too, I think, like, okay, what would my dad do? Don't do that.
Opposite of what dad would do.
Yeah, that's all you have to get. You're just like, how would that have, like, how did our parents kind of traumatize us in, like, certain ways? And you're just like, I don't want to be like that. I love you, Dad, but, like, that was fucked up. I shouldn't have done that. And we have to forgive our parents, too. I just understand that they're just, like, doing the best that they could.
And ours were young. Right, mines were young.
Isn't it 15? Yeah. Isn't it crazy to think back? Like, I have to think about that now. Like, my mom was, like, 19 when she had...
My mom was 16.
Yeah, let's just think about that. How small, like, they were little people, basically. And then by the time they were 10, they were still kids. Because it happened. And sometimes I'd be like, in the moment as a kid, I'd be like, well, why are my mom acting like this? Or why did my mom do this? You know what I mean? But she used to party back then and stuff. But, but now I think about, like, she was like 32. She was
very, like,
just barely at her peak.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here, 13 years old, thinking, like,
Judge had it. Judging me.
You're like, you're a mom. Like, what's that?
My parents, it felt like,
your mom, like, I thought,
because my dad bought a house, like, my parents bought a house actually from my grandpa. And then they'd have parties, and I'm like, hey, over here drinking tequila, bro. I was, like, probably, like, 6 years old.
Yeah.
But by then, if I'm 6 and she had known she was 16, she's in her 20s. I'm like, you know what I mean? But I was just like, what the heck? Like, okay, they're cool then, because, like, all their friends come over here and do it, so maybe that's normal.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you grew up in a 2-parent household then?
Yeah. They love each other.
So you saw that growing up.
Yeah. That was just, like, normal tea. I grew up a freaking romantic, dude. Like, I write poems. We do things like, hey, I would wake up my brother, hey man, today's mom's birthday. What are you gonna do? We ain't getting nothing. I don't know, but the girls made something for her, but let's do a rap. And me and my brother would just rap. She'd be waking up in the bed, and my sisters are holding the pictures they made them. And my sisters were younger because I'm the oldest of the girls, and so the two sisters are holding their stuff, like smiling, and then me and my brother just rapping and telling how we're gonna do. Yeah, I mean, it didn't make her feel good. She not once ever have gotten a birthday card that was store bought, dude.
That's cool.
So I'd express myself and my love to her in that way because I would see like this man love this woman.
Yeah.
And this woman loved this man. They weren't even married, dude. They and I didn't understand why.
No, your parents weren't married?
No, because my grandma didn't approve of my mom.
Oh, that's crazy.
And so my
They were at together for
they were like, my dad was like 19 and my mom was 16. And he was like, I don't care what my family says. Like, I'm going to be with you. I love you. And I kind of learned, like, that's why I was like, oh my gosh, bro, like, I want somebody to be like, about this is possible, because this man right here love this woman like that. And she would always, like, I would hear them, sometimes they would argue, and she'd be like, that's why I don't take your last name. Yeah. And I was like, well, what? But I didn't know, though, but they were fighting because we went to, like, an event, like a family event, like, they take stuff, okay? So, like, my mom had, like, this fruit salad that she would make. It was so delicious, same like a potato salad. Yeah. So she'd say, hey, I'm bringing this, so I'll be the one to bring this. And then another aunt was like, I'm bringing that too. And so my mom was like, well, this is what I do the best, and I'm making this. And then it was an issue. So we're like, okay, my mom will make both and bring it. And so we go, and not knowing, because we're kids, we're like, yay, we get to play with all these other kids. But they were so accepting of my mother. And they weren't like, oh, hey, yeah, come in over here. But the other nieces and nephews were like, oh, my God, I love this woman.
Yeah.
So then it kind of made the moms be like, to her. Or they're like, oh, they're loving that potato salad she made. And they're eating it. And then they choose to argue. I'm like, oh, what? You think I told so-and-so that I was bringing the potato salad. Well, I'm bringing the potato salad. Well, we told Johnny not to have you bring it.
This is like, and so I was going about their mamas.
That really is. And it's been going on. It's been going on for years. So, like, when you have Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner and stuff, you don't want to have to tiptoe around that. Mm-hmm. So why not just be straight up on with it? But when I was younger, they try to isolate me from it. So I'd be like nosy, like, no. They fight about the potatoes and they blow it. And he's like, no, about it. Let them argue. It's not that serious. And it's like, okay, but she had these valid feelings like, hey, they're purposely doing that to drive this wedge between us and you're letting it. And he's like, but it's family. We need it. They did be standing there unified as a loving, happy couple with their kids. But then when they went home, it was like, how come you guys couldn't be unified like that here? But they had to talk it out. And they wanted us to be isolated. But we wanted to know, like, are you guys okay? Like, is this... And it wasn't even a crazy fight like that. It was just them arguing about their feelings because it was valid. Okay, yeah, she's trying to tell you they're trying to drive a wedge between us. And he's like, well, this is the only time I get to go be around my family and be around these guys, because a lot of it was my mom's side of the family because they were more willing and accepting of my dad.
Yeah, that's like another thing like in relationships is like family boundaries, right? Like with your partners. But, and that's something we could talk about too. But I'm just wondering, like, you growing up in a 2-parent household, like where you saw like your parents grow up and it sounded like they loved each other and they were together and they raised these kids. Like, do you feel like that affects, like, the way that you go into relationships? Like, do you feel like you are more, I would say, do you think you're healthier in relationships because
now I am, because I've been single for, like, a year or two. Well, after, I was married for about 4 years, and then I wanted family so bad. And I dealt with so much toxic shit because I wanted the family that I saw growing up. Like, I wanted family so bad. I wanted to just hang on to it and have my own family and have that partner because of what I saw. Mm-hmm. So that on my end was like, this person isn't right. They're not measuring up to how my mom was, which I wouldn't, in a way I would compare like, oh man, she cooked, she did this, she did that. So when in the past, I would look at certain things like, can you cook? Like, I would do a test. It's so mad.
That's so
I was if I need to grow, and like She's like, oh, let me cook you something. I'm like, hey, make eggs.
Yeah.
If you cannot make scrambled eggs, you can't make eggs, then I don't know if I can like.
You can teach her that. I'm crazy. I can't make scrambled eggs good either. No, that's why you make scrambled eggs. I'm not lying. What? Come on. You gotta be the Misconceptions.
How about the Bible? Keep moving on a scrambled egg.
No, then y'all learn how to make eggs together. Like, that's pretty.
That's what I'm saying. That was my mindset in my 20s. You know what I mean? Like, what did you?
Yeah.
Go do a test.
Yeah.
Go up to a test. Tune it out.
I've heard the husband do the blind. Just
And many of you acknowledged it like that though. When you meet somebody and you got like this perception. No, you got this perception of like what you want in love, what you want in a relationship. If you don't want love, you're gonna be like, okay, this type of girl right here, I can see she's not gonna be this relationship material. But she's fun. I'm saying it. This is my brother's point. My brother was, okay, so I don't know him on there. No, he really wasn't, because I'm like, bro, she's not relationship material. She dates other dudes. You know what I mean? And he was like, I really want to be with her. She convinced him. This girl is walking in the middle, and my brot's on one end, and her other boyfriend's on the other. What the? And I'm like, brother, no.
Oh shit!
Like, this is not. You can't that, but that's why he dated the core of our cousins before him. And she did me. Oh, it was like
The sibling too.
I did that before.
Okay, so that brings us to the point, like, relationship material, right? So that was triggering for me, okay? And so,
on the trigger have things you got worked out.
I'm trying.
Yes.
So I'm just trying to get from y'all's perspective, what is relationship material, and are there too many expectations on like relationship material? Like, I feel like when you're in a relationship or you're starting to get in a relationship, like, you should just understand that person's not gonna be perfect, and we, like, when we're getting into the relationship, not having those expectations, like, okay, maybe there's 10 cook an egg, okay? But we're going to learn how to pick an egg together, and, like, over time, like, I expect that we're going to grow together, and that, like, we can teach each other how to better.
Carmen patience do you have to teach a person that? I'm just saying because,
Hey, or
in general, because majority of the time, a person isn't coming to the table with something.
reading.
I'm just saying, I'm going based on my experiences and everybody else's experience around me. I literally became like couples therapy to most people. So the couples we have dinner at my house, and then here we go, like 3 hours later, I'm talking to the girl and the boy, and I'm talking to them, helping them work through their shit. Come to find out, she has some daddy issues, and just his mommy was too overbearing to the end. So that's where their issue is. They're a married couple, but they have these issues where he has a son with her, but the mom always wants to be like, I'm gonna babysit, I'm gonna do this. So she's not allowing the woman to show him who she really is, because the mom is strong as a yes.
Well, that's the thing too about family boundaries. Yeah, if we were talking about that, like, I feel like sometimes families can really
Too much.
tear a relationship apart.
I agree with that.
So like, in the relationship that I'm trying to cultivate, like, we said that, like, we come first, like, our families, like, have to come second, because I've been in a relationship where, like, family came first, and, well, we saw how that ended, right? It ended. And so, like, I feel like when you're trying to cultivate a relationship with someone, you do have to understand, like, that's the family I grew up with, but I'm trying to create a family with you, like, whether it's create a family or, like, a relationship, a bond, like, we're trying to, make our own family. So, like, you have to, like, kind of put your family in check that way. It might suck, it might be messy, but at the end of the day, like, your family's not going to be the ones, like, that are building with you, making those decisions. And, like, if you get sick, like, if you, like, those big decisions, like, financially, like, your family's not going to be able to do that. So you have to put your partner first. And I think that's, that's another reason, like, why relationships fail. A lot of people like that. Yeah. And especially, like, when we come from, like, these close-knit families, like, where you guys are in the Latinx families or Hispanic, I don't know what to say, but yeah, like, certain mothers from, like, certain cultures are just, like, more like that, especially, like, with their sons. They want to, like, their sons are their baby, and like, no girl wants to be that. And so, and no girl, especially nowadays, is gonna put up with that. So these dude's out here gonna miss out on a good girl.
Yeah.
Who might not be able to cook an egg, but she can clean, like she's smart, like she has a job, has a car, and all of those are like bare minimum things at this point. But yeah, like we have to be able to draw those boundaries and like have this like healthy expectations of someone.